Welcome to another episode of the Tech Your Business Podcast. And today, we're all business owners. Most business owners are on LinkedIn. Most business owners are on LinkedIn trying to build an audience, trying to make sales, trying to build their businesses. And the truth is that most people fail at it. We've had one or two episodes on LinkedIn before, and today's guest is coming with a different approach to LinkedIn. So he mentioned when we were just talking that his approach is no comments, no organic posts, no profile modifications, and all that. So I'm learning about it for the first time, and I think we all would love to know about it. So welcome to the show. The guest is Colin Hirdman and founder of Rainmaker. So co-founder of Rainmaker. So welcome to Tech Your
Yeah, thanks so
Business.
much, Peter. Yeah, no, I'm really excited to share what I know, and I think you and your audience will really benefit from what I'm sharing. And they, anyone listening can literally begin applying this system that I'll be explaining as soon as they get done listening to the podcast.
Amazing. So can you tell us a bit about the system, tell us a bit about your journey?
Yeah, well, I'll start with my journey. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I started my first company a week after graduating from college with a criminal justice degree that I never used and never took a business accounting or marketing class in college. So I learned everything about entrepreneurship by actually building businesses. And so that first company I had for about a decade, and then I sold it. And then I went into business and created Monkey Island Ventures with two buddies of mine. We've all known each other since we were about 5 years old. And Monkey Island is named after a park that we used to play at when we were kids. And we've built over the last, close to hmm, like 18, 19 years now, we built a bunch of different SaaS companies. And we have a digital marketing company, a software development company, and then we have Rainmaker, which is our newest kind of productized service. So that's really been my journey. Is just really about entrepreneurship. I love helping out other aspiring or fellow entrepreneurs as well. So I'm really pleased to be on this podcast with you. So um, uh, yeah, so the the next thing would really be getting into kind of the specific framework that I use about Rainmaker. But I'll just pause there and just see if you had any thoughts, comments, questions before I dive in.
Oh yeah, so I think the first thing I'll just point out our journeys are the same. I think I have two degrees I've never used, and I probably would never use.
You provided employment for those professors, right? Everybody that has to maintain those campuses. So there you go.
Honestly, free money to
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I think most times we look at people when we look at people talking about LinkedIn, like I mentioned earlier. A lot of them say some people say we should post all the time. Some people say you should modify your profile so it attracts people. Some people say you send what do they call it? You make content and that attracts people and so
Mhm.
many things. So I'm very curious about your framework. So can you just break it down? Tell us how it's
Yeah.
different and how you discovered it.
Yep. Nope. I would be happy to. So yes, I will not be talking about LinkedIn profiles. I will not be talking about organic posting and paying attention to likes and comments and that whole side, organic side of LinkedIn. We will not be talking about. It doesn't mean you still need a good LinkedIn profile. Still needs to be accurate and up to date, and you should still be posting good organic content. A couple times a week, ideally. Um, so, I had been doing a lot of kind of growth hacking. We're using LinkedIn over the last, 6 or 7 years. And, I went for our own products and services. And I went to my business partners early last year and said, I think I could build a real business off of what, the software and process I built out with LinkedIn. And they said, okay, go for it. So, hence I created Rainmaker. Now, everything I'm going to be talking about, uh, you know you and your audience can go and do all of these things manually if you want. Rainmaker is just automating certain things on LinkedIn and taking away kind of the manual effort around some of it. But if you do exactly what I'm saying, I promise you'll get the exact same results. And I'm really focused on having LinkedIn being a revenue driver for my company. I'm not a huge social media guy. Like I don't hate social media, but I don't love it either. And I want LinkedIn and my efforts to pay off for my business. So there's kind of three areas in which I approach LinkedIn. The first is philosophically. The layer underneath that is around audience building, and the layer underneath that is around activating that audience. And I'll pause in between each section to see if you have any questions. But
Okay.
philosophically, you know, this is how you need to approach LinkedIn. Number one, you have to be authentic and genuine on LinkedIn. I think most people do a good job of that. But you have to be authentic and genuine to yourself and to the brands that you represent. And I think most people like to use just a conversational tone on LinkedIn, right? It's not super formal, it's more kind of laid back. The second thing is you have to come with an educational mindset because nobody wants to be sold on LinkedIn. Okay, you don't want to fall into that bucket of people that are being spammy on LinkedIn where they're trying to sell you something right away, or they want to book a meeting and talk with you right away before there's any relationship built. Okay, LinkedIn is really the only business social network out there, and so it's really important that you approach it with that educational mindset where you're able to build relationship over time. The second thing around mindset is an experimentation mindset, right? There's all these different ways that you can engage with people on LinkedIn. You want to stack the things that are working, table the things that don't, and maybe revisit those at a later date. So that's around the mindset. And then the final thing is, and this is where I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I put it on anyone else that's also a founder or anybody that sits in the sales or marketing seat, is it's incumbent on us to understand the pains and barriers that our prospects are trying to overcome, right? We need to understand the issues that they're having. And then from there, we need to know what is it that they want to be educated on. And most importantly, what is it that we can teach? What can they learn from us? So that is the LinkedIn philosophy that you need to approach LinkedIn with, which is being authentic and genuine, having that education and experimentation mindset, and finally, knowing what it is that your audience can wants to be educated on, and what can you teach them? What can they learn from you? Okay, so that's the base philosophy that you need to have. So I'll pause there before I go to the next section and just see if you have any questions on that.
Yeah, I think I have a question on that because okay, I understand the philosophy. At least you have this mindset. You know, you're not going there to put sales links or sales comments or whatever on each post. But there's one
Yep.
thing that struck out the experimentation mindset. A lot of the time, we all try different things when we are marketing and co. So at what point, before we go into the audience building part, if we're experimenting, at what point do we know that this is not working as against it's too early to know if it's working or not?
Yeah. So when we get into the different like strategies that we'll be activating, that last section, we'll talk about specific strategies that you should be using, and then what those numbers should look like. But I'll answer your question in a general way, which is I think a lot of people forget, this old marketing adage, which has been around for decades and decades, way before the internet. And it is the marketing principle of people that don't know you, they need to see, your brand at least 7 to 10 times before they start to become comfortable, where they might want to talk to you, where they might want to do business with you, where they trust you. Okay. And I think too many of us want to just jump right into selling somebody versus building relationship over time. But that's the beauty of LinkedIn, is it allows you to build relationship over time if you adopt the philosophy that I'm saying and then do the things that I'm just about to tell you that you should be doing.
Okay. So I think okay.
Okay. Okay. So that second section then is around building out a prospect audience. I'm typically using Sales Navigator to build out my prospect audiences. About half my clients have Sales Navigator, the other half don't. If somebody doesn't have Sales Navigator, I'll use mine to build it. But Sales Navigator is LinkedIn's sales platform. Costs around $100 a month, and it gives you all these different filters in being able to build prospect lists and then being able to save those lists. So it's a great tool. Um, there there's a couple of growth hacks that I've come up with as well that you and your audience can try. So one of them are LinkedIn events. So if one of your direct competitors is doing a LinkedIn event, or maybe there's an industry organization that's doing a LinkedIn event around a topic that your business solves for, if you go and attend that event, you can see everyone else that's also attending that event. And you could actually start building out a prospect list of people that are attending that event that are publicly raising their hand and saying, this is who I am and I'm interested in learning more about this topic, right? So LinkedIn events are a great way to start finding prospects that are further down the purchase path in potentially wanting to use the services or products that your business offers. Another one is using a person as a proxy. So there's a woman on LinkedIn that I connected with. She connected back with me. And because her connections are open, um, I'm able to find everyone that is a first connection to her, but is a second connection to me, and go and connect with those people. Because she talks a lot about LinkedIn, profiles and LinkedIn posting and all these things, right? And your brand on LinkedIn. So a lot of her followers are following her because they want to learn how to grow on LinkedIn. Therefore, they'd probably be a good prospect for Rainmaker. Okay, so using LinkedIn events and using a person as a proxy are a couple of kind of growth hacks that you could try in narrowing down audiences that might be more receptive to um, you know um, building relationship with versus just using Sales Navigator. You can also use regular LinkedIn search to build prospect lists. It just doesn't have the same amount of filters, and you can't save those searches. So that's the downside of regular LinkedIn search. So,
Okay.
okay, so that's kind of that middle section, right, around audience building. Okay, you gotta know who you want to be in front of, and be able to start creating those audiences of prospects that you want to start building relationship with. Okay, so that's that second layer, is understanding who you want to get in front of and being able to articulate, who they are. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I think I just love the strategies actually. So
Yeah.
LinkedIn events, yeah, and using
Mm-hmm.
someone with open connection, similar to what you do. And I see the connection
Yep.
with the previous point. So you post, you get people who want to see this kind of content, and you post your educational content, know what they want to learn about, know their pains and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
they want to listen to that person and listen to you at the same time. So I think that's amazing. Those hacks
Right.
are amazing.
Yes. Yep. Yep. No, that's true, and that's one of the benefits. And I'll talk a little bit more about the kind of the benefit of um, what this process can have on your organic posts. But we're going to spend more time on very specific strategies now. So now we're on that base layer where we actually want to start activating that prospect list, right, that we've built out. The number one thing that you have to do is build out more first connections with that prospect list every single week. And the process that I use is reaching out to around 25 people a day, Monday through Friday, and reaching out to create a first connection with those people. I almost never use a connection message. And if somebody doesn't connect back with me within 30 days, I'll typically withdraw that invite. And then that would allow me to connect with that person at a later date. Okay. You're going to get most likely around a 20 to 25% connection rate back. Okay, so if you target a list of 500 people over the course of a month, you should expect to get around 100 to 125 new first connections in that month. And those first connections are prospects, right? Those are the people that you have targeted that could potentially do business with you someday. Okay, and I think a lot of people underestimate the value of a LinkedIn first degree connection. I'd rather take that over somebody's email address any day, because as you create those first connections, there's these other activities that we're going to talk about to actually get those first connections to start um, um, responding to the things that we're doing and to start building relationship over time. But the number one thing you have to do is build out first connections week in and week out, so your prospect audience grows bigger and bigger over time. So as you do these activities that I'm about to go into, you're going into a larger audience every single time you do those activities, because your audience is always growing. Okay? So that's the foundational thing you have to do, is build out first degree connections. I never use in mail, right? And I'm building out first connections and using all of the benefits you get when you have someone as a first connection. Okay, So now that you have those first connections, one of the things that I'm typically doing is bolting on a messaging campaign to those new first connections. The first message that I'm sending back to those people after they connect with me is a thank you message sent 1 to 3 days after I connect with them. That thank you message should not sell anything. You shouldn't even try and help. You should just thank them for the connection in a way that is authentic, and keep it short, and just thanking them for the connection. Okay. If they reply to that, that'll just show up in your LinkedIn inbox, and you could carry that conversation off wherever you want. If they don't reply, then typically we're sending out a second message 7 to 10 days after the first message. And that second message and beyond is when you really have to start providing value to that first connection. That could be in the form of asking them a really thoughtful question. That could be sharing an asset that your company made that you think they would see as being high value. Maybe there's a third party that created an asset that you want to share with them that could be of high value. Maybe you want to invite them to a really thought through LinkedIn poll. Or my favorite, maybe you want to invite them to attend an event or a LinkedIn live stream event. Okay. And we're going to get into some of these things. So, but that's the benefit of creating these messaging campaigns, is that you're starting to build relationship with these people over time where you're not selling anything. All you're doing is providing value to them over and over and over again. Okay. And there's a book called the Go Giver. And it's kind of in a story format, and it's all about a guy that wants to just sell more, and he just wants to sell, but then he realizes through these different activities that he goes through in the book that if he's helping other people first, that a lot of energy and positivity and ultimately business comes back to him because he's in that go giver mindset. That's the mindset you have to have, right? In education, sharing what you know. Okay, so that's message campaigns. Sometimes we'll do like a one-off message campaign where we'll grab everybody that's in a certain vertical. So like I have verticals that I've been building out for myself, like sales executives, founders, business coaches, fractionals, right? Those are some different verticals that I've been building out the last year. And when I want to send a discrete message to that entire vertical, I can do that anytime. And remember, because I'm growing my audience every single week, every time I want to do one of those message campaigns, I'm sending it out to a larger group of people, but it's highly relevant and it's highly targeted. Okay. Okay. So that's messages. Um, LinkedIn polls are another great way to get people to interact with your content and get them to participate in something that could be highly meaningful. So LinkedIn polls are a great way to do that. And then I'll just leave that one as it is. And then the one that is my favorite is doing LinkedIn live streams. So I do LinkedIn live streams at least once a week, and I'm doing LinkedIn live streams where I have created kind of a evergreen topic that I can use for sure, in the coming months and years. And it's, a lot of what I'm sharing with you, which is learn how to grow your network, leads, and sales using LinkedIn. And then I'm sharing a deck that I have, and I'm sharing my process. But the beauty about LinkedIn live streams is that you can only invite your first connections to a live stream, a LinkedIn event. And when you invite someone, it doesn't come in as a direct message. It comes in as an alert, right? And so you're not going to burn your audience out by inviting them to multiple events throughout the year, even if they're the same event. Okay. And that's why it's really important to break out your verticals like I did, with like fractionals, business owners, sales executives, because I'm using the same content, the same deck, but I'm sending the invites out to those different verticals depending on the week. And then when those people see the invite and they get to the event page on LinkedIn, not only is the topic really interesting, but then they feel like that topic was built out just for them because I put in the topic, and on the event page, for founders or for sales executives or for fractionals, right? And so they feel like it was made just for them. Now, when someone gets to a LinkedIn event page, they can choose to press the attend button or not. When someone presses the attend button, they've now kind of crossed this threshold where they're opting into you. They're opting into your company. And in doing so, it's showing that they trust you, that the content is compelling, and that they want to learn from you. Okay. Those are all the things that are coming your way when someone presses the attend button. And now you know who they are, right? You get to see all the other attendees, and you get to see all the people that are attending your events. So you're sending the events using the LinkedIn event invite function after you build the event on LinkedIn. And then you have to use a third party product to stream the live stream into LinkedIn. There's lots of them out there like StreamYard or Restream. There's other ones out there. They're not very expensive. And then you do your live stream to the attendees that show up. And then the magic is really after the event is over, uh, you can send a message to all of the attendees. And I will send a message to all the attendees, and it'll be structured kind of like this, where I'll say, "Hi, Peter. Thanks again for registering for the LinkedIn live stream I led. Here's a link to the recording." Okay, so the live stream gets saved as a recording forever on that event page. And then underneath that, you can have like a call to action. A call to action that I like writing in there is if you ever want to chat LinkedIn strategy, feel free to grab some time convenient for you here. And then I give them my Calendly link to book a one-on-one meeting, right? And when you do it in the way that I've described, and those people get that message, because they opted into your event, when you follow up with a message like that, it's not salesy, it's not spammy, it doesn't feel icky in any way. It's just a natural next step that people could take if they want to engage with you after engaging with your LinkedIn content, right? And so that's what I really love about LinkedIn live streams is that they're very repeatable, they're very low cost, they're educational in nature. It helps you build relationship with the attendees, and it gives you a way to fall into that sales seat and really ask them for a next step, like a meeting, or maybe there's another event you have that you want to invite them to, or maybe there's an asset that you want to share with them right after the event. But you can communicate with them in a way that just doesn't feel spammy or icky in any way. And it allows you then to really lean into using LinkedIn as a way to build relationship, but then ultimately build leads and build sales and revenue. So I'll stop there, but that whole process that I've described has nothing to do with the organic side of LinkedIn. It all has to do with building out more first connections and building out relationship through messages, through polls, through live streams, and getting your prospects to start to really trust you and see you as a thought leader. And that's what's going to help you close business.
Okay, so I think I have a couple of questions from this, one or two.
Yeah.
So I think the first one you mentioned, I'm reaching out to making 25 connection requests a day. I think
Yeah.
so that should be with Sales Navigator because I know there's like a limit. I can't remember on the normal and
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
No, I don't use Sales Navigator for any of the outreach. I'm using regular
Okay.
LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
Because I like the organic nature of LinkedIn, and when you create a first connection, I like using the regular LinkedIn inbox and not having anything in Sales Navigator.
Yeah.
There is a limit. There is a limit on how many connections you can make, a week. It's somewhere between 150 to 175 ish, somewhere in there. Don't know what the exact number is, but uh, if you're connecting with around 125 a week, that still gives you flexibility that if you're going to like an in-person event or you meet people and you just want to connect with them on LinkedIn, you're still underneath the weekly limit. So you could still
Yeah.
do those kind of organic connections.
Okay, so that's perfect. Then I think the second one will be about the live streams. So that's from my understanding, that should be probably set up as an event, and then
Yep.
so the delivery will be
Yep.
through the LinkedIn.
Yep. So when you're in your LinkedIn account, you just say create new post, and then you select the post type, and you just click
Hmm.
event. And then when you're in the event creation, you just select that it's a live stream event. You just fill out the rest of the fields, and then you post it. And now you have an event scheduled. And then you just use a product like StreamYard or Restream, and that they will integrate right into LinkedIn very, very easily. So you can live stream right into that event, and yeah, it's super, super easy.
Amazing. So I think I've actually thought through this. I've heard a lot of things I haven't used or thought of before, and I can actually see how this works together. Because starting from the philosophy to building the
Yeah,
audience that will be interested in what you want to do, then reaching out, doing the live stream. So I think that's it works in
yeah,
this thing. Yes.
yeah. And there's some benefits to the live stream where because the invites come in as an alert. Some people
Mhm.
might not see the alert until after the event is over, so they'll click through and then they'll see the recording. So you'll actually start racking up minutes watched on the recording as
Mm.
well, which is nice. And then the other thing that you can do after the event is over is you could download the whole live stream as a video off of StreamYard, and you could actually break that video up into small posts that you could use in organic, right? So you could do small snippets from that video and use those for organic posts. And then sometimes your audience asks really thoughtful questions. You could actually, after the event is over, take the question and create a LinkedIn post off of the question as well, right? So now you're creating kind of organic content off of doing the live stream as well. So, but yeah, it's great.
Amazing. So now, I think after all this, you mentioned we can do all this manually. So where does
Yeah,
Rainmaker come in?
yeah. So Rainmaker is really just helping with doing the connection invites, doing messages, doing all of the invites for the live streams. So Rainmaker is just helping get all of that done, so you don't have to do it manually.
Hmm.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And
Okay.
so yeah, I
So
can
I think
guarantee. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So I think building on that. I think for the past few years, one issue most people have had is with using software with LinkedIn. So most times they
Hmm.
feel there's always going to be issues doing that. So has
Yeah.
anyone
So there,
encountered any? Yeah.
right. No, there can be issues. So number one, you don't ever want to go above LinkedIn limits, right? You always want to stay underneath that threshold, whether you're doing it manually or whether you're using software. Um, the other thing is you don't want to do things in a spammy way. You want to be really thoughtful in how you are approaching LinkedIn. So the ways that I've described it, whether you use automation or not, um, you will you will do well on LinkedIn, you will generate connections, you will generate attendees to events, you will generate leads and sales for your company if you follow the process that I've laid out. But yeah, I think that's the main thing is whether using automation or not, you have the opportunity to really use LinkedIn as a way to generate revenue for your company. So I haven't I've used my process for including using some of the automation for 6-7 years now, and I've never had a problem.
Amazing. So I think one other thing, what sort of results have you seen from people using this process, first manually and second using your software?
So what was the first part of your question?
No, what sort of results have you seen from
Oh,
people using
results.
your
Yeah.
process here?
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, great question. So, um, you know, if you are doing the connection outreach the way that I said, you should see like a 20 to 25% connection rate back. Uh, if you are using the LinkedIn event invite function for like live streams, depending on your targeting of the audience and the topic, you should see I'd say probably like a 10 to 15% attendance rate, registration rate from the invites that you send out. Could be lower than that if you're targeting the wrong audience or you have the wrong topic, but it could also be higher than that if you're targeting the right audience with the right topic. Uh, and then, you know, the Calendly, getting someone to schedule a Calendly after the event. You know, I'd say that's probably around like 1 to 3% of the people would schedule a Calendly. Um, but you get a higher percentage of people doing that the longer you do the process that I've talked about, because people get more and more familiar and comfortable with you over time as you continue to share thought leadership and in all the ways that we've talked about through messages, polls, live streams, etc.
Okay. Okay, so I think that's great. So I think that will mean I'm going reaching out to a large audience, and then you get maybe 25% connection request response rate, your 10 to 15% attendance rate, and then you continue
Mm-hmm.
doing that. And yeah, I think that's
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and one of the things too that you should see as you're doing all of that, you should see your organic posts perform better in
Mm,
terms of, you know, like only 10% of your audience typically sees any post that you do. But if you're increasing the percentage of your first connections being your ideal client profiles, that means there's a higher percentage of people that could potentially be your customer that are seeing your posts versus being like former colleagues or friends or things like that on LinkedIn, right? Like you really want your prospects to see that information.
yeah.
And then if you're posting on LinkedIn and you're doing the process that I've talked about, more and more people will have you top of mind. And you should
Mm,
also see more referrals coming in, right? Your referral network should also get, um, you know, uh, kind of ignited because of the work that you're doing.
amazing. I think it comes back to what you talked about at the beginning that people need to see you like seven times or more to buy from you, especially
Right,
if they don't know you. So yeah, so
right.
that takes care of that. So there's
Yeah,
something you
yep.
mentioned about connection requests. I think it has been a debate, and there's something you mentioned about sending most without using a connection message. So why
Mm-hmm.
do you think that gets better results?
Yeah, I'll answer it in two ways. Number one, if you're going after a specific group and you're using a connection message, and um, that group is you have kind of a fairly generic message, it's not going to perform well. It's going to look kind of canned or look kind of spammy, right? So if you're saying something like, "Oh, hey, we both went to, we all went to, we both went to the same college," or "Hey, we're both in this industry, would love to connect," right? Um, there's there most people are going to just wonder like, okay, like I wonder like what are you trying to sell me, um you know um versus if you send a connection message without um any sorry, if you send an invite to connect without any message, um then you're coming in a lot more neutral. Someone might still think, oh, I wonder if they're going to try and sell me or not. But generally speaking, if they see that you're in the same industry or if they see that you have mutual connections, then they're more likely to just connect with you. Um, and so I can prove it out, through data. You get a better connection rate if you don't have a connection message. Now, if you meet someone, one on one, or if you get referred into someone, yes, of course, use a connection message. There's also other instances where you might want to use a connection message. So I have some clients that go to like big conferences or events, and they will reach out to somebody from that list and say, a group of people and say, hey, I noticed we're both going to so and so conference coming up next week. Would love to, connect with you here on LinkedIn, and you know, uh, potentially, get together, at the conference and hopefully see you at the conference or something like that, right? Or maybe it's post conference where you would say like, hey Peter, sorry we weren't able to connect at such and such conference we were both at, but I'd love to connect with you here on LinkedIn, right? So that's something where those people know that you're both going to the same conference or that you both just attended the same conference. So that's super specific. So that would be another reason to potentially use a connection message with those types of people. So, but like I said at the beginning around philosophy, you want that experimentation mindset. You could certainly experiment with using a connection message or not, but just generally speaking, you're going to get a better connection rate if you don't use a message. And like I said, you're generally going to start out at like a 20 to 25% connection rate on any given list.
Okay, so I think yeah, I think I get that too because so a couple of years I tried doing a bit of sending out connection requests and I got the same results you talked
Mm-hmm.
about. So where we
Yeah.
try to do a what do they call it, a connection message with a bit of customization and co, it was very low, like less than 10% response.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just sending out a connection message, I think probably that way you have the person actually come read your profile and they're like, okay, I might want to connect with this person. And I actually do that a lot. So most times I see a connection message and I'm like, I don't want to buy anything. And I just leave it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's exactly right. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so that's amazing. So looking at your process, both using your software and manually, what are some things that people might do that would make this not work for them?
If you're being salesy, that's not going to work. People don't want to be sold to on LinkedIn, so you have to educate. You also have to be consistent. If you're not going to continue to build out your first degree connections, if you're not going to send out thoughtful messages, if you're not going to create more interactive content like polls or live streams on a consistent basis, then you're just not going to get the same kind of results. So consistency is also really, really important.
Amazing, amazing. So I think I've actually learned a lot from you in the last
Good.
36 minutes here on LinkedIn
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's something I've been using for how long? I think I've been on LinkedIn for maybe 16 years now, if I
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
haven't really used it. Yeah, I haven't really used it in the marketing. It's just like maybe like a CV or something. So I think this is
Yeah.
something that I'd love to try, let you know the
Yeah.
results and all that. So
Yeah, for
for
sure.
yeah, so for anyone who is listening to this, and probably maybe they've learned a couple of things, they want to finally make their LinkedIn work for them. Is there any advice you'd like to share to them, probably that I haven't asked about, but you know would be useful to them?
Um, well, number one, keep listening to podcasts like you have that are focused in on, kind of more cutting edge, topics and things around tech and especially like marketing and sales. Leaning into that, of course, I think leveraging AI is a good thing. I actually created three GPTs that are free for anybody to use. One helps them build out a LinkedIn messaging campaign, the other a LinkedIn poll, and finally the last one has helped them build out LinkedIn live streams. So those GPTs are available if anybody wants those. And but yeah, just keep learning. There's a resources page on our website at rainmakergrows.com, and on that resources page, there's two PDFs that they could download. One is my entire LinkedIn live stream process from beginning to end. It shows all the steps you have to take for doing LinkedIn live streams. And then the other one is for anybody that's really serious about sales and for sales teams. And it kind of just shows the six strategies that you should be utilizing in LinkedIn um, in order to really have success. So there's a couple of PDFs that they can download there as well. But I would just say, generally speaking, yeah, keep learning and get active and experiment and see what works.
Amazing. So that's rainmakergrows.com/resources. So what about the GPTs you mentioned? That are they? Can they get them there, or it's somewhere else?
You know, they're I have specific links for them. I haven't put them up on the website yet. I could send them to you, and
Okay.
you could include them. So it's fine keeping having those links out there for people to use.
Yeah.
So I can follow up after this and send those links to you.
All right. So I think that would be useful for anyone listening. The link to the resources page, rainmakergrows.com/resources. So it will be on the show notes at the bottom of the screen.
Mhm.
Then the three GPTs, the links will be there so you can use them.
Yeah.
and grow your
Yep.
LinkedIn. And yeah, for anyone, I'm going to try this. I'm going to give feedback. For anyone who listens to this, who tries this, don't forget to give feedback to Colin. Don't forget to try
Yeah.
Rainmaker.
Please.
And
Yeah.
thank you so much. I actually this like it's up past 6 for me, but I've actually enjoyed talking with you about this because I love learning. I love learning, and
Yeah.
I think I've picked up a lot of things from this. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Peter, for putting on these kinds of podcasts. The world needs more education, and the world needs more successful entrepreneurs. And I think you and I today are doing a lot to contribute to that.
Thank you so much. So for the listeners, rainmakergurus.com/resources. Go to the show notes, bottom of the screen, and grow your LinkedIn. So till next week, when we come with a brand new episode, don't forget to keep taking your business. Bye for now.